Okay. Are we up? What's this? New sponsors today. So just one sponsor. 7-Eleven. Should we approach them to see if they want to sponsor the stream? 2 minutes early. Not by my clock. It says exactly here 8 o'clock. Are you early? I'm not early, I don't think, unless my computer clock is off. Is that a mistake? No, I think I'm on time. Okay, what are we doing today? Something new. We haven't seen this before on the stream, I don't think. You know that last week I found out that the blocks I had prepared for the octopus print are the wrong size. So we've got to make some more. Dave under the mulberry, yes. This is my mulberry stock, which will soon be, it's already, part of it's disappeared already. Anyway, last week we found out that the blocks that I've prepared for the octopus print are the wrong size. So today's job is, I can't do them all right now, bang, 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 bang. You'll see what we do. We have a press, a bottle jack press, or a hydraulic jack press we've made here. And it only takes one object at a time, so I can't put 4 wood blocks in it. But what I'm going to do today is go through the process. I've got the center core that becomes a wood block. It's a Sheena plywood. Really high quality Sheena plywood. We can't use Lawan plywood because when we press it to put the tops on, the center cores collapse and the top isn't flat. That'll be the core. And I went to our wood stock and opened it up last night, and I found a piece of cherry wood. This is from, I should write this down, this is from (2016). So we've had this piece since 2016, and when we cut from the tree, we sliced it. There was thin pieces, medium pieces, getting wider. And this is one of the widest pieces. And recently our prints, the portraits prints, the ukiyo-e heroes, the legendary loot, they're not quite wide prints, so we can use quite narrow boards. But for the octopus print, I need 24. I need this width. And there's a white part on each of the boards that we really can't use. I don't know if you can see this here. There's a whitish section here at the edge. I forget the technical names for these. There's heartwood, sapwood. You're asking the wrong guy for the names of these things. But anyway, the center core of the tree is no problem. As it gets to this wider section on the edge, this sometimes prints with a bit of different color than the center part. So we avoid using this whitish area. So we can't use the full width of this board. What I've done is, we're going to, of course, we're going to put the facing on both sides of this Sheena core. If we put wood just on one side, of course, it would warp like crazy. So we've got to bond wood to both sides. And that's fine. I know we're going to need 4 pieces of wood, 8 sides for this print. The key block is ready with the back side, so I need to make 3 colored blocks, which are faced on both sides. So this piece looks like it's going to do 2 faces, but we have a problem. It's wide enough. I need 24 wide. I can get 24 wide on this without going into the white area. And I need 36 long. So I can get 36 here, but then we have a problem. As you can see, there's a huge knot, hard space that we can't possibly use for woodblock printmaking. So this zone is no-go. So it means, do we have to throw this piece away? No, because when we look at our print, I'll show you from the back side here, when we look at our print, there's different colors in different areas. And for example, one of the blocks to make the sky block later will not be using this center area at all. And it turns out that the block I need right now for this seaweed can be placed on here. I can move it around such that if I use this section of the wood, that hard rotten place falls in the middle of the octopus. In fact, it falls on exactly the most delicate part of this print. We don't need to talk about that right now, but it isn't where the seaweed is. The seaweed is there, here. Let me just pencil it in. If I had a pencil, that would help. Seaweed will be up there. down here. Let me just check this to be sure. Seaweed would be there, seaweed there. Over on this side, seaweed would be here and here, and a bit right there. If I can see it. Okay, so I've drawn some lines here. If this is where the registration mark would be, that's where the other registration mark would be. These circles I've drawn up here and down here, those are the areas where the seaweed will fall, and I won't need that middle piece at all. So bingo, we've got it. It's a knot there, but it doesn't matter. And the other part, for the back side, it's totally, completely clear. I don't know yet which color we'll be using for this one, but anyway, it doesn't matter. We're okay. So here's what we're going to do today, and I got to warn you right now, it's 8:06 now. This will be a short stream for a couple of reasons. One, at 9 o'clock my time, the electrician is coming. He's probably going to be here early, 8:50 or so. We're almost ready to open at the first floor. Our electrical work is done, and the last step is we have to talk to the city, the main company, and they're going to do the last stage. They're going to cut power for the building, connect the new breakers at the bottom, and then put the power back on. That's the part that I can't do myself. And that will be happening from 9 o'clock. So this is a short stream. At some point when I hear the thing downstairs, I am going to have to cut and run, whether I'm finished this work or not. So please be aware, today's stream will be cut at some point, probably around 9 o'clock. I may be finished before that, because this shouldn't take all that long. What I'm going to do to outline for you is this. I'm going to first cut these two pieces of wood to the correct size for putting on the center core. Then I'm going to get my glue mix out, our epoxy glue mix. I'm going to weigh carefully. I'm going to mix up enough epoxy to do this job. We will then put the glue in place, put one sheet on, put the glue in place, put one sheet on, and I will then turn the camera angle so it turns towards our press. And you'll see when I put the piece in the press, jack it in, and tighten down we go. And that's all the content I have for you today. So we'll be finishing maybe around 8:40, somewhere around there. So I'm sorry about that, but that's what we have. Okay, I haven't been able to watch what you're chatting about. I'm sorry. I know the news. I put the news at the beginning of the stream. Moving day is next Tuesday, the 10th. We are moving on the 10th, and we are open from the 11th. It's Ladies' Day down there, and they will be the first staff members to run the new shop. Right now, I've got to roughly cut this piece of wood, and my table saw is down on the first floor. Can I trust you guys to behave yourself for 2 minutes while I take this board downstairs and rough cut it? Let's do that. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Now that I think about it, you should probably have been able to hear that from down there. That table saw is so loud. Could you hear it? You couldn't hear it, whatever. It was loud enough for me. Okay. Now, which face to go down? This is a mystery to us, actually, too. This is a mystery to us. Which face to glue down? I've had a certain way of doing it for many, many years. And I'm not sure if it's the right way to do it, because I've heard people say it the other way around. You got a tree with rings. You slice a board out of it. So look at the end of the wood. It's too small, I can't show you. Look at the end of the wood. There's going to be sort of, you can see the tree rings are sort of smiles. They're curves. In the end of the block, curves. And as a piece of wood dries, those lines want to straighten out. So if the wood is, the tree rings, if the rings are like this shape, that wood will want to warp this way as it gets older. Now if we were using it as a single flat piece of wood, we have to remember that. That wood will want to warp this way. Now we're going to laminate it down. So what we want to avoid is a place where the corners have stress to peel up. So we want to laminate it so that the wood is, the grain lines are this way, so that the corners, if anything, have a stress to glue down even stronger. But I've had respected wood people tell me the other way around. And I think perhaps it's a species thing. Some species will go one way and some species will go the other way. But my habit is pretty clear. I paste them down, I glue them down so that the grain pattern is a smiley face pattern and the corners will want to bond down. So this is going to be up, down. That's going to be down. But, Dave, be careful just a minute. We've got a mirror idea here. Be careful, be careful, be careful. The registration mark is there. Okay, with this one I have no choice. With this one it has to go the other way because of the design here. That has to go up. That has to go down. Because the position of this piece of wood is determined by those bad spots. Double check. Right, paste it down here, that was arbitrary. Okay. Now, next step. The wood as it is now, it came from the resaw, the place we professionally resawed it. Look at the lines, you can see this. It's obviously not smooth, it hasn't been planed yet. And I don't want to plane it thin at this point, smooth at this point, because it makes it too thin. What we're going to do is bond it down first, and then do the planing of the surface. But this back surface is so rough, if I glue this down now, the only parts that are going to get glue are the top of these ridges, not the rest of it. So the first step before I paste this down is to take my plane and very lightly just take off the top of those ridges. We're not planing smooth at this point. We're just getting rid of the peaks of the mountain. non-slip board, I guess. I think that's good. It's got rid of the main peaks of those things, so the bulk of the wood will now make contact with the glue. Okay, rough test. It's gonna go. What we'll do is, after we mixed our glue, we will tape it up a bit just to hold it together while it's wet, while we put it in the press. Okay, next part, glue mix. Okay, we've got our little recipe. Aoyama-san and I have worked out over the months and years the numbers we need for this. And the last message he's got from me here is for a piece this big, our normal portraits blocks that he's been using. To do that, he wants 12.35 grams of A, 12.35 grams of B, 25. That gives him both sides. Just a minute. I see 12.35 grams of the combination for a single block to do both sides. Ours is a double that size. So we need 50, so we need 50 grams altogether. So 25 of each, 25 grams of A, 25 grams of B, 50 grams. Let's do it. It's your standard epoxy, you know, mix A and mix B. So I want 25 grams of this. Stir stick. Very interesting device Dave's holding. What's this? What's this? We have a weigh scale. We have 2 cans of epoxy, part 1 and part 2. And let's go. 24 grams. $25 grams. The other one's much more liquidy. Bingo. And we all know the rule, but epoxy, just stir, stir, stir like crazy. This one, it's sort of a golden colored for the first one and transparent for the second one. And it comes out as a sort of semi-transparent white color. Not transparent, but not totally opaque. Interesting work here, right? Sorry. Can't see many of the questions and stuff. I'm sorry here. Recent streams are quiet. More people are on holiday. I think recent streams are quiet because there's not a whole lot of interesting work going on recently. Okay, I think we've got a good mix here. We'll find out while we're printing the octopus if it comes apart. Okay. I think what we'll do is we'll put the mix onto this and just refresh. That's the down side, will go on there. That's the down side, it'll go on the back. Okay, let's do this. Take about half of it here. This is about a day to cure this stuff, so it's a bit troublesome for us because it means we can only put one block at a time in the press, then that's it for the day. We just have to leave it for a day and then come back the next day and do another block. So we can't sort of spend a day making wood blocks. It doesn't work like that. It's just as well we fill it in during our other work. Recently Aoyama-san's been doing this, but since he's been down in the shop, you know, the first floor construction, I've been doing this myself. But we don't need a thick layer here because this press is tight. We can press this, we can press the crap out of this. So we don't need to overdo this, so we just lose most of it. Once it goes in the press, it 100% squeezes out. So. But I'm nervous about the corners, so I want to make sure we've got a good coverage at the corners. Any gap there, I think that wood would lift up. Look at face one. Again, for down, this is the upside, way it goes. Bed it. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Let me do it again. This is like last night's job. We started doing the flooring downstairs on the first floor last night. Yesterday's job was abominable. We had to grind the concrete floor flat. I know, flat meaning as flat as we could get it. The original floor concrete was probably flat when it was first made, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, whatever it was. But there's been so many renovations, so many extra stuff. There were counters built which they jacked into the concrete floor. There was a sump built which was cut into the concrete floor. There were counters put into the concrete floor here and there. There was a new drain put in. The point being, the concrete floor now is nowhere near flat. And the most recent damage to it was the removal. The people had a wooden floor glued onto it, and that was half ripped up. So all the leftover glue and scraps of wood and stuff were still there. There's no way we can lay our own flat floor on that surface. So yesterday we got some super heavy duty masks, and we got a couple of grinders, and we got concrete grinding bits on, and we just simply sat there and we ground the whole surface of the floor as flat as we could get it. We got a laser light to shine along it and doing it by feel. We moved all the furniture out into the back room, stacked it up, and it was the job from hell. And we should have done it 4 months ago when we were first moved in there, but we just weren't ready for it. And now we can no longer postpone it, so it had to do. So we ground it flat first. The neighbors are, what's the dust pouring out of your building? What's happening? Is there a fire? Whatever. But we got it done. And then we had time left after dinner, so we came back and we laid the first 3 flooring strips along one wall. Thinking that would take an hour. It took a few hours because the wall, of course, is nowhere near straight. Okay, I think I'm bedded here. We've got overlap at all the sides. We'll be trimming this thing square and straight. This is quite a bit bigger than I need it to be. Let's temporarily tape it together so it doesn't slide too much when I'm putting pressure on the jack. Let's use this. Was it glued? Yeah, the previous wooden floor was glued straight down to the concrete. So we didn't rip it up. The guy leaving ripped it up, but they left an extremely rough surface. Okay, there's our sandwich, ready to go into the press. Let me rotate the camera around. What you're seeing is the stairway that goes up to outside. We don't use the outside, so the stairway is quite purposed for junk everywhere. Under the stairway is our active paper storage. These are the 3 or 4 types of paper. Let me get over there, can I? These are our 3 or 4 types of paper that we're actively using. We have the Nishikiban size, which makes 2 great wave prints. We have the old beater size, which will make 6 medium-sized prints. And then we have the Takenaga size at the bottom. That's the equivalent. It's quite big. We make like 18 loop prints out of a sheet of it, whatever. This is our active paper stock, the backup paper stock that we've received from the print paper makers way over in the other room. Now what we have here then too is our pigment cabinet. This is also made by Aoyama-san. This is our pigment cabinet with our different pigments and drawers and spoons and mortar and pestle and stuff like that. What it has to lift out of. We don't mix pigments over in the whatever, it's just what it is. We don't mix pigments over in the other room. So we do the pigment mixing here. It's got a lift up top which clamps open. We mix them here. It acts as a hood to keep the powder not so spreading around. Close it down so the powder stays there. And the cabinet is all on wheels, and it's going to come out of the way at the moment now to expose our press. Let's see, what do I need? I need some junk newspaper. Hang on a second. Now, it might be hard for me to do this without blocking your view. What have we got here? If I zoom in a bit. I'm not sure how much you can be able to see, but whatever, I can just do what I can do. One jack. I better zoom out just a little bit. I meant to get too tight. One top plate. It's 18 millimeter plywood screwed together to make a single flat, strong top plate. There's a similar bottom plate. What I've done is, it's 2 pieces of 18 millimeter plywood to make about a hugely thick base with corner marks, and it's on top of the actual joists of this floor, which are on the concrete. So that's as strong a bottom foundation as we can possibly create for ourselves here. It's on the structure of the building on the concrete floor. My sandwich goes in there. We've got an X mark written so that it can be centered, basically. The top panel. Again, the corners are there so that once we start applying pressure, if everything was going to try and squeeze sideways, we'd end up with a totally dysfunctional system. Yo-sho. And he's got some brackets. Let's see. Just a sec here. Here we go. What is it? see. Oh, he's improved it. We had a. I see. The way I built it originally, there was a soft piece of wood at the top, and it's over months it's become abraded, so just put a new piece of wood at the top. So, anyway, you know how this works. You've seen jacks before. Okay, back to the explanation. Sorry about that. Okay, what we're doing, you know how bottle jacks work. I know I misunderstood them at first when we first started using this. I assumed that it's a jack. You jack it up, jack it up, jack it up, jack it up, and it stays there. It doesn't, of course. Bottle jacks lose their hydraulic pressure over minutes and hours. You can't just jack it up and leave it. When you're doing a car, you jack it up temporarily, put strong stuff underneath your car to hold it up, take away the jack. The car sits there. So I had misunderstood this at the first when we first started doing this. So what we do now, you've seen me do that. I've jacked it up. The jack is in the middle there. And during the couple of minutes while the jack is still holding it, we've put wedges in. We've got two strong pieces of wood that hit the bottom of the concrete steps. So we punch those in place, and that keeps the pressure on now. And I will now release pressure on the bottle jack. So it doesn't sit there ripping its guts out. And there we have it. I'll be back here. It just sits there. It'll just sit there till tomorrow morning, at which point this will be done. I don't know how much pressure is on there. It's certainly as much pressure as we could put with clamps if we were doing it. And by doing it with this system with these huge flat base plates, I think we've got good pressure pretty much all across the surface of that sheet. We've been doing this now for, I don't know how many years, 3, 4, 5 years. And we've had really, really good results. The stuff comes out, once it's done, the stuff comes out perfectly smoothly bonded. We've never had a single experience of the thing pulling off. And with the blocks that we used to get from Matsuno-san, we had that experience all the time, pulling up. Also for his, when they pulled up in two ways. They would pull up by this joint failing, the glue and the shina, but they would also fail because he was using a cheaper Lawan plywood. And when the stress that the cherry wants to pull up, the plywood would split internally. So one of the top layers of the plywood would come off. That's why we spend the extra money here about the shina plywood, because it's a really, really high grade plywood, And when the cherry wants to twist and pull up, the sheet of plywood stays really, really strong in the middle. Anyway, that's our block assembly system part 1. What's going to happen tomorrow then is this is going to come out of here, and tomorrow morning I will repeat this, not on stream, but whatever. I'll repeat this program with block number 2. It goes in there, block number 1 comes out. I'll do that 3 days so that I've then got 3 blocks. As you can see, we've cut them a little bit oversized. They're rough around the edges. There's no point in trying to make them finished at this point. When the 3 blocks are dry, we go back down to my table saw, we'll neaten them up at the edges, and we'll run them, we'll take a quick pass through a surface planer, and then they go out of here to a specialist workshop we talked about before. That special workshop which has a bench, I don't know what it's called. It's got a plane blade sitting on the bench and rollers that push the wood over the plane blade while holding pressure on it. And that's our block preparation. Yeah, maybe over the next couple of days sometime I'll be doing this again, but not this part of it. Maybe after these come out of the press, we'll look at the next part, the first rough planing or something like that. I don't know. Okay, as I said, this is going to be a short stream. It's now 8:46. The electrician's here at 9 o'clock. I've got to get downstairs to take care of him. I know I mentioned this the other day. This week, it's going to be chaotic for us. I cannot give you steady, interesting, basic work streams this week. We're now in the frantic final stages of getting preparation for downstairs. And on top of that, I've got to keep the printers and stuff here occupied as well. The schedule is next Tuesday we are moving. There will be no stream that day. We'll open up Wednesday morning downstairs. And before that, you'll be seeing downstairs, because if the floor gets finished today as planned, I'll be taking down my carving bench to the first floor. So streams over the rest of this week may be happening from the first floor at my carving bench, and you can see the new stuff in the background. Here we go. I gotta get downstairs, get the key open, ready for the electrician. I apologize for the short stream, whatever. It's another part of our business. You can all see how it works bit by bit by bit by bit. And I'll see you, I guess, tomorrow morning. Where and when, I'm not quite sure. Thanks for the patience, guys. Thank you very much. Your friendship and willingness to hang out like this is important for us. It's good fun. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. Step 1, camera off. We're now in a hot mic situation, I think. Whatever. We're done. Let's just turn it off. Thanks again. See you tomorrow.